Hey, welcome to the Daily Dose. It is November 9th, Thursday. We had a good meeting last night, as always. Got our group together. Again, I shared my thoughts on the overseas experience of the NFL, talked about everything going on. Always a good time getting together. I learn a lot, as well as hopefully gain insights from me. Today, I want to talk about this issue that's been bubbling up a while in college football, and it involves Michigan. If you haven't heard, they had a staffer, for lack of a better word, on staff for years named Connor Stalions, and he was violating a rule that goes back to 1994 created by the NCAA that says you can't scout opposing teams in person. So you can't go to an opposing team's game or the game of a future opponent and do in-person scouting in the stadium. Evidently that was done, where this guy sort of paid people out of his own Venmo to go film steel signs about future Michigan opponents, even to the point of this year at a Central Michigan State game, he was seen surreptitiously on the Central Michigan sideline and assuming that he was trying to get the signals from Michigan State, who was a future opponent of Michigan. Now we've got problems for Michigan. Supposedly the NCAA is doing an inquiry, which those things, as everyone knows, take time, and it'll take a lot of time to get through this for the NCAA. The bigger issue seems to be the Big Ten Conference, and other athletic directors and presidents besides Michigan are urging Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti to discipline Michigan, to do something. And maybe the something they want involves head coach Jim Harbaugh. Well, what is the authority? As a lawyer, you have to look at that. The authority seems to be a loose sportsmanship clause within the Big Ten that the commissioner can do something in the name of sportsmanship. This reminds me of pro sports. We have the commissioner in all the major sports that seems to do what that person thinks is in the best interest of football or baseball or basketball or hockey, and this sort of loose conduct detrimental clause that has been used to discipline everyone from domestic violence and personal conduct and Tom Brady, all these things. And now we have it on the college level. So will Tony Petitti use this, which I believe has a mandatory penalty or a maximum penalty of a 2-game suspension for the coach? Jim Harbaugh is no evidence of him knowing about this scheme, but there is that NCAA language where you're responsible for your outfit. So no matter if you knew or not, you're the head coach. So now you have this sort of swirling between the NCAA and Big Ten, who's going to act first. Then on the other side, there's news that Michigan plays were stolen by opponents such as Purdue. So it's all that swirling around. Petitti's at a tough spot. He's got to make a decision no matter what he does. It's going to get a lot of criticism. Here's the thing that I always say, there will be lawyers. There are so many lawyers involved here. Michigan supposedly has retained Williams and Connolly, one of the most powerful firms, a block away from the White House. I know them well. And then there are all these other firms involved. So everyone has lawyered up, and we're waiting, which may happen as early as today, whether they're going to discipline. At the end of the day, if Michigan has penalties and Harbaugh is not allowed to coach, we'll see going to the courts right away. I'm sure they've got the pleadings ready to get a TRO, a temporary restraining order that would block the suspension of Harbaugh. Again, the game plan will be set. The coordinators handle it. Harbaugh not on the bench, I don't think is going to matter a lot in the game. A big game against Michigan State this week. Against Penn State. So we'll see. There's no right answers. There's no wrong answers. There will be lawyers. There's going to be fights here. Again, it all comes down to language. The language seems pretty deferential to the Big Ten commissioner, and I think a TRO would probably fail. But then you have to coordinate what's going on with the NCAA, and is this double jeopardy at some point? All these things swirling around. I think there will be discipline to Michigan. I don't know if it'll be a Harbaugh suspension, maybe a 1-game suspension, maybe after the Penn State game. We'll see. But this is fascinating from a legal point of view, and everyone has lawyered up. All right, I'll see you tomorrow.